It's the second episode of the Celebrity Traitors, and guys, this is going to be an epic season. We've had a round table, we've had our first murder, and another mission that was genuinely excellent. So we have got a lot to talk about. If you guys are enjoying the series, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. But let's get straight on into it all. So I gotta say, I was very nervous. I was thinking, who is Alan gonna kill? He dragged Paloma Faith into a kitchen, and then there was Ruth in there, and it was deciding between which one of them he was gonna do. And by the time he got back outside, he had already killed somebody, and I was sitting there going, oh no, guys, this is either gonna be a monumental flop, or it's actually going to work out perfectly for him. And I just couldn't work out which way it was going to go. I genuinely didn't know. Jonathan came round and sort of whispered like, oh, is it done? Is it done? And he went, yep, all done. All done. Yeah, all done. Really loudly. And fortunately, nobody noticed. Fortunately, no one saw it. Nobody noticed. Everything was good. But my God, I thought, Alan, you got to keep it on the DL. You got to keep it on the down low, please. Jeez, honestly, he is absolutely crazy. And I love his energy. When the traitors went up to the turret, this was when it was revealed that he decided to do, oh, you got a bit of hair in your face. Oh, you got a bit of hair in your face. To Paloma Faith. So Paloma Faith is the person with the poison pollen, and she will be dying by the slow acting poison. Honestly, it's very dramatic, this show. It's very dramatic indeed. Now, I think this could go two ways. I didn't entirely know whether this was a good move or not. I was thinking, well, Paloma is an ally for Alan. She's not really thinking that it's any of the traitors currently, so maybe this is going to be a poor move. But then I was like, does this give Alan the opportunity from the get-go to be like, oh my God, they killed my friend. How could they do that? I'm going to try and get revenge and play it from that angle. So I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm hoping that it's the latter, purely because I think Alan Carr is going to be able to pull this off. There's something in my brain telling me that people are just not going to suspect him in the way that they are actually going to be like, he's a traitor. He is the traitor. He's got to go. I genuinely do think he might be able to pull it off. But then in 2 episodes' time, I might be eating my words and he might be the second person that banished, you know what I mean? So anything could happen at this point. So at the breakfast table, there were lots of accusations flying around, lots of people whispering into other people's ears, oh, I think it might be this person, oh, I think it might be this person. Fortunately, Alan Carr is playing it all very dithery, and it's an act that he's putting on, even though most of it is actually not acting whatsoever. He's trying to act. I think one of his quotes was like, I don't know how Meryl Streep does it. And I just thought, you know what, fair and valid. Some people just aren't cut out for acting, and that's probably why he went into comedy. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen him act in anything. I mean, he did Changing Ends, but that's kind of about his life, so it's not really acting then, is it? Anyway, moving on. I thought he was doing a great job. Then you had Ruth saying to Jonathan, hey, let's exchange one name each. And I was like, Jonathan, you've seen this show before. You know that if you are a traitor, you need to have at least one name that you can throw out. Ruth was saying Kate and Jonathan was saying Nico. And I was like, oh, okay. He's got a name. He's latched onto a name. Good. That's what you need as a traitor. You need to be able to latch onto somebody and be like, it's them. I think it's them. Because otherwise, when people ask you, who do you think it is? And you're like, oh, I don't really know. Oh, I haven't really thought about it. That just makes you out to look like a traitor, basically. Then we had Claire telling Kat about her suspicions around Kate. It seems like Kate is very suspicious to a lot of people. But I almost wonder whether, like, they just haven't watched a lot of her, or they don't know her very well, because the way she's acting, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just Kate. Like, I remember her being that way in The Jungle. I remember her being like that when I watched GMTV, and also like Good Morning Britain and things like that when she's hosting. She is that very sort of hammy character, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But certain people are just starting to like give her the side eye every now and then, and we're going to talk about a very aggressive side eye in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know what Kate's done to make people suspicious of her. Is she doing too much? Yeah, but equally, they're all celebrities. They're all doing too much at times. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes people are just over dramatic, and that's just who they are. So obviously, nobody died. quotation marks, but they were told that somebody had died and therefore would be leaving the game during today's mission. And I was like, it's the funeral challenge again. Big up the funeral challenge. The one that killed off Diane in the woods, icon. The one that got rid of Ekin-Su in the US one, icon. And now we're getting rid of Paloma Faith in due course. So honestly, I thought this was absolutely sensational. Really, really enjoyed it. But before we head into the woods, I have to say, there was some suspicions flying around, and I have to say some of them were very, very interesting. You had Alan immediately bringing up, oh, Ruth's marshmallows, could they have potentially killed someone? And I was like, that is very, very good thinking on your feet, Alan. Very good to drop that little seed in and make people think, oh, could it have been the marshmallows? Could it have been? And then Paloma was like, oh my god, Nico hugged me. Oh my god. Oh yeah, Nico hugged me last night. He made a really big deal about hugging me. Could he potentially have killed me? Again, planting a seed, because she is the one that's going to die. Then Jonathan pulled Kate aside and was basically like, hey, your name has come up with several people. Just thought I'd let you know. And I was like, oh, okay. And then in the next breath, Tom was like, yeah, I think it's Nico and Kate. And I was like, you know what, Tom Daly? You know what? First of all, you should have been on a reality television show far earlier than this. You are very, very entertaining. Secondly, you are very wrong and strong, and I appreciate that from you. You're going in all guns blazing. I think it's this person. I think it's this person. And you couldn't be more wrong, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it at the end of the day. I'm here for it. Oh, God, Celia. Bless her. Celia's got no chill whatsoever. She literally said, oh, I think Charlotte might be a traitor. And as for you, Joe Wilkinson, I think you might be a traitor as well. And you, Alan Carr, maybe you could be a traitor as well. I mean, Celia Imrie is just an absolute national treasure, and she's having the absolute time of her life playing this show. And I just know that she's enjoying herself, and I just hope that she lives long enough to actually enjoy herself properly. The mission was fairly straightforward. There were 3 coffins, and based on clues, they had to guess who the traitors had chosen to be put in the coffins. One of them would be murdered, 2 are red herrings. So, equally, there was a lot of sort of people looking around, looking at people's reactions. I have to say, the traitors did a fantastic job of staying hidden in this challenge. It's very tempting to want to lead the group in the correct direction because you know what the answers are just so you can get the money. And that was something that I think got Mina caught in the last series. I think, I could be wrong, but either way, it got her caught. It also got Caroline caught in the last Traitors US series as well. So it was good that they sort of hung back and they were like, we'll let you guys lead. And they did. And they managed to get the first one correct. It was obviously Nico. The second one they got wrong. They thought it was Nick Mohammed, but it was actually Lucy. Oh, what's her surname? You know who I'm talking about. And then third of all, Paloma was the third one. So, an interesting mix. Nico, obviously, because he's suspicious. Lucy, because there's no heat on her, but maybe this could put some heat on her. And also Paloma, who, obviously, get out of your face. Yeah, we've got it. You're dead. So, they then had to guess which of the 3 were actually going to die. And they incorrectly guessed that it was Lucy Beaumont is her name, I think. So, unfortunately, they didn't get the bonus money. So, I think they ended up getting something like 7 grand, I want to say. Maybe, like 7.5, maybe. I can't remember exactly. But they did not... In fact, no, they didn't get that much at all because they lost out on the second amount. They got 2,500 in the first one. They got 2,000 in the second one. So, they got 4,500 in total. Yeah, so not a great showing for this challenge at all. And they lost out on the extra 4 as well from the guessing who was going to die. So yeah, that's it. Paloma is dead. Jonathan was very quick to be like, oh, Alan, do you want to say a few words? And Alan was like, oh, I don't really know what to say. But he played it off very well. And then the moment that everyone on Twitter is talking about was Kate going, oh, well, I'm flabbergasted. And Tom going, the aggressive side eye The most aggressive side eye I've ever seen in my whole life. And Tom was just like, Thomas got it out for Kate. I don't know whether she interviewed him when he was younger and he just held a grudge. I don't know what's happened, but there is something going on between these two that needs to be explained. And I also need her to stay in the game just so the feud can keep up. So before we head into the first round table of the series, there are just a couple of suspicions that I want to talk about. Now, me personally, I feel like Paloma's death has kind of created a shield for Alan. Nobody's going to believe that he is going to be the traitor that took her out. But then Claire immediately called it out, Claire Balding. And I was sitting there going, Claire, you got to go. You got to go. You have to go now. I'm sorry, you got to go. Like I've got any control in the game. Do you know what I mean? This was filmed months and months and months ago. But either way, I just feel like the accusation is baseless, first and foremost. Secondly, you got no evidence. And third of all, this would not stand up in a court of law. So really, Claire, back down. But really, I was actually quite impressed that she thought like that immediately. Tamika and Tom are saying that it could be Kate. Mark is saying that it could be Kate and Tamika. Nico says that like there are definitely eyes on him and people are definitely looking his way, and he's very concerned that that's going to have a negative impact on his game. I'll be 100% honest. I don't think Nico's making it very far into the game purely because of the fact that he was suspicious going into the coffin, and the fact that most times when there are these situations, the faithful will not rest until every single one of those 3 people have been eradicated from the table, and they will not stop until they are off. Because what if they were a traitor? Ooh, who knows? Whereas everybody knows that the smartest thing to do in those situations is to put 3 faithfuls in, because they know that the faithfuls are going to end up thinking that they're traitors and then kicking them off the show. So really, it's just completely net negative for Nico. I don't think he's making it very far, which is a shame because I actually do like him on this show. It's very different to how he is on his YouTube channel and everything else. He's very serious, and I feel like he actually fits in with the others very, very well. I didn't think he would, but I feel like he is. And then the quote of the episode, because Tom Daly's got such a stick up his arse about Kate, was Alan telling him, you can't call somebody a traitor because they have a better vocabulary than you. And this was all to do with Tom being like, who even uses the word flabbergasted? Who even uses that word? Clearly Kate does. The round table started with Stephen Fry reiterating the rules, basically that Claudia had just said. And I think he is a big danger at the round table purely because of how well he leads conversations. He made multiple comments throughout the round table, leading the conversation into a different direction to give them something different to think about. He is a danger, and if he doesn't die soon, I feel like he could end up outing some of the traitors. So I feel like he's a surefire second murder, or maybe like a third murder. Maybe they'll give him one more round table to see whether he actually is a danger or whether that was just a lucky first round table. We don't know. But either way, he is very, very good at speaking. Now, let me just read you through my notes. Obviously, Kate was asking immediately who brought up her name. I thought very, very bold of you to bring that up first of all. So Kat decided to speak up and said that she thought that Kate was overcompensating, just doing too much. Claire also said that she overreacted to the word faithful during Claudia's speech at the round table when she first took off the blindfolds. Again, I feel like, is that not more proof that she is a faithful because she's reacting to the word faithful? But then Claire thinks that it's an overcompensation, it's an overreaction. So really, you can't think of anything in this game without there being a, but what about if you look at it this way? Then Ruth said you never offered up your shield, and Kate was like, well, doesn't that make me more of a faithful? The fact that I didn't want to give my shield up because I was worried about being murdered. And I was like, yeah, but equally, like I just said, you could look at it from the flip side that you're a traitor and you didn't want another faithful to have a traitor, or to have a shield even. You wanted somebody else to give their shield up so that you could keep hold of yours and give another faithful an opportunity to be murdered. So there's always another way of looking at it that frames every action as a faithful or a traitor. And that's what's so difficult about this game. So then Stephen shifts the conversation in a different direction. He says, we need to be thinking about who is the kind of person that would sit in front of Claudia and say, I would want to be a traitor. because that's who's going to get picked. And immediately the conversation lands on Nico. And Nico actually defended himself quite well. I was very concerned that he would struggle to find a voice in a room full of people who, no offense to him, are considerably more famous than him in terms of the general population. Don't get me wrong, he's an incredibly famous individual for my generation, but for the general population, I don't think they know who he is. So the fact that he was able to find his voice and defend himself very articulately made me think, actually, you could potentially talk your way out of this, but I don't think you're talking your way out of multiple banishments. Do you know what I mean? And Charlotte actually brought up the fact that this could have been like a massive double or triple bluff. And the fact that Nico is saying, why would I put myself in the limelight? That would be incredibly ridiculous and stupid of me as a traitor to put myself in that position when this is the exact situation that's come out of it. And Charlotte was like, well, you could be double bluffing us. This could be exactly the thing that you would do because you could play this card. Again, bringing it back to the fact that whatever you do, it can be framed as a traitor move or a faithful move, no matter how you look at it. So then the conversation turned on to Tamika. Mark brought up the fact that he noticed a change in her behavior, which kind of surprised her. And to be fair, I haven't noticed that, but then again, I'm not living this game, so we're only being shown what we want to be told by the editors. And Tamika was like, hey, it's not me, but it is Kate. And I was like, oh no, we're not going back onto Kate, are we? Surely not. Surely we're not going back onto Kate. My goodness. But it was really fascinating to see how people immediately go like, oh, duh. Because Mark was like, hey, your reaction to Paloma was a little bit over the top when the coffin went down. And Tamika was like, well, I thought Kate's reaction was over the top. And then Kate used the word flabbergasted again, and then it cut to Tom going... I think, again, it's my favourite thing in the world, is just hearing the word flabbergasted and then it cutting to Tom being like, ugh. Ugh. Is that word again? Is that word that I don't like, okay? I don't like that word. And then the final thing that Stephen said was, okay, let's think about it in a different way. Why would they have killed Paloma? Let's think about that, shall we? And Ruth immediately turned to Alan and was like, yeah, Alan, who did she suspect? And Alan was like, oh, well, she did say that she had two names and that if she died, it was those two people, but she never got a chance to tell me. And I was like, oh, God, Alan, why couldn't you have just thrown out some names? Because Paloma's not here to defend herself. You literally could have said that she thought it was Nico and got him banished. That would have literally been the easiest thing to say. But saying, oh, she didn't get time to tell me, I feel like you kind of fucked up a little bit there. Or not even fucked up, but you missed an opportunity to have that moment of Paloma said it could be this person, because you were in a power position where you were closest with her and then you killed her, so you can manipulate the story however you want. I just don't know whether Alan is good at thinking on his feet, and being the first time that he had to speak around the round table, I think he just kind of went, I don't really know what to say, I'm going to say this. So we're just going to have to see how that goes. And then Joe Wilkinson was defending Nico, but then blaming Tom Daly. And I was like, what? What are we doing here? This whole thing is massively confusing. And it really felt like a good first round table, because most, if not everybody, spoke at that round table, which was quite impressive. I don't think we've seen a round table like that in a hot minute, and maybe that's because they're celebrities, they want the airtime, whatever. I don't buy into all of that. I believe these people are here to play the game first and foremost, and they actually don't care that it's being televised. They are just excited to be in this situation and play the game that they have seen on TV. And that's what's so unique about this series. So I can't even do a full voting time because they stopped it halfway through the episode. And I was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Just give us the rest of the votes. Do you know what I mean? And leave it on the cliffhanger of, are they a faithful or are they a traitor? Because we know that. And then it's not a cliffhanger anymore. And so I don't have to be sad. But anyway, the voting was as follows. Ruth voted for Kate. Tamika voted for Kate. Alan voted for Nico, Mark voted for Tamika, Nico voted for Tom, Kate voted for Tamika, Joe M voted for Nico, Lucy voted for Nico, and Kat voted for Kate. So by the end of that, I think Tamika had 2, Tom had 1, Nico had 3, Kate had 3, and we're only 9 votes in. We still have 9 votes to go, and I don't know what way it's going to go. I have a feeling that if Kate is the person banished, Nico will be the next person banished, because obviously it'll be like, oh, well, Kate was a faithful, so it must be Nico, because that's the kind of logic that they usually go with. Unless something else dramatic happens, Alan reveals himself, or Jonathan trips over and goes, oh, I'm a traitor. I don't know what's going to happen, but I am super, super excited for the rest of this series. It has been fascinating. It has been exciting. And honestly, I am so, so excited to see where this goes. But that is all we've got time for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that YouTube stuff that you guys do so well. And I will see you guys later. Bye now. See ya.